Oh, almost fell on my chair. There we go. Me.
There you go.
This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We'll talk about the plants we grow and some things you might not know. The garden party, New Year's Eve episode. All right, start off, Phil. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What up, everybody? It's Phil from Phil's Figs, your favorite fig daddy. I talk about all things figs on all my social media platforms, and I am stoked to be back here on the garden party.
Oh, yeah. I didn't catch any of it, but I'm assuming you said, my name is Phil Figs. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina, and I am a geologist like Randy Marsh from South Park. And I have 8 kids. I love figs. And I have adopted the moniker the Fig Daddy.
Yes. It was a little more succinct than that, but yes, absolutely. I'm also a geologist.
I don't know why. I always instinctively talk when I'm like impersonating people. I always go with like a country accent, like Zach Galifianakis doing like a North Carolina.
Oh my gosh, dude! He's a legend, man.
That's just how I do it. You know, I don't know. I'm terrible at impressions. And we'll move it over to another dad. We got Seed Farm Table, Zach Wortiska. And introduce yourself, dude.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah, Zach Wortiska, Seed Farm Table, right out of Bakersfield, California, right here in the Central Valley. All farming, all seed, plants. I'm all about it.
Is it Wortiska or Tiska? How do you say it?
Wortiska.
Okay.
Wortiska.
See,
Yep.
my family are all Czech and Polish, and so they would be like, "Oh, that's a Wortiska boy over there."
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Well, it's just like my last name Noack. Like, there's people with the last name Noack that pronounce it differently than I pronounce it. You know, that relatives I know that pronounce it differently, so it's never pronounced right. So I understand I understand your pain. And then you got DeAngelis of the Angels over here, Phil DeAngelis.
Oh yeah, yeah. But somehow, you know, back in the day, growing up, at every telecom person trying to call our dinner table would set my dad off butchering our name somehow.
Really?
We get like D'Angelo, but I was like, really?
That's
just
hilarious,
phonetics.
Man. That's hilarious, dude. Well, I wanted to do a New Year's Eve. It's not New Year's Eve, but like a New Year's Eve resolution, like kind of episode tonight, if y'all are down, and maybe talk about some of like our resolutions, some stuff we want to get done in 2024, some things we want to change, some things we want to do different.
Well,
inside,
I have a big list.
Yeah, inside and outside the garden. We'll start it off, Philly.
I am trying to scale everything. So everything, I want to be more efficient, more cuttings. I want to expand the garden space, so more space for more figs. And I want to really dial in my like SOPs and really figure out not a perfect method, but a highly efficient method for each step of my fig growing process. And bring that and show that to everybody too. So I launched on YouTube. I'm doing my Phil's Fig Fridays, and I'm rolling out an episode every Friday covering a specific topic of growing figs. And so it's working it's easy to work seasonally with it, where I start out with how to root a cutting, and then episode 2 talks about how to root the suckers that are off your tree. And so actually the 3rd episode, which will be filmed tomorrow, we'll be talking about how to prune your trees after a long season as well. So if you don't know what to do with your young fig trees that need to be pruned up, or if you have bigger fig trees that are a mess, we want to go over that too. So that's my New Year's resolution, is expand and run with those ideas.
Yeah, I think people think that like when you're gardening, it's always better to go bigger and go more and get more plants and get more land, when you can actually just be more efficient with what you have and get just as much of a harvest, you know, because you think about it, like, you know, you got a subdivision backyard like me, Zach, you got a subdivision backyard, you know, if you were to have like 2 or 3 acres where you were growing stuff, you know, then you start getting into, I need tractors. I need,
Yeah.
plows. Everything comes with something else, So I think a lot of people could really benefit, especially from your videos, especially just how they benefit from mine, growing in smaller spaces that you don't need a giant, field like somebody over here to grow all their goodies. But I mean, you can probably elaborate on that, Zach. Like all the equipment people
Oh
need,
yeah.
like to
I
like on
mean,
those big fields.
yeah, once you scale up like that, it's endless, right? I mean, it's all, big equipment, tractors, lots of hand weeding or hand harvesting or, big spray rigs and moving pipe around. I mean, there's a lot of, big labor intensive things that happen on a large scale like that. But even like you guys are talking about, like scaling down and not doing so much, but just doing a really good job of, maybe 10 plants or, whatever you can
Yeah.
do, but just take care of those really well instead of trying to do a whole bunch and things get left out and you forget about something. I don't have time, but yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can still make your yard look really nice in the process. Like you can still go out. Like I love sometimes I'll garden from like, I don't know, 9 to 11 at night because I have young kids and I bedtime routine right into like, okay, here's my window to do this. I can't do that every night. I'll burn myself out, but I'll go out and I like step back and I'm like, this looks really great out here. And like, it doesn't have to be necessarily a hoarding scenario. It is sometimes because I love it so much, but you can make your garden space look great out there. And I feel like that's a nice, tasteful thing to do, even if you're in a small, like backyarded subdivision area.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my goal. I said that when I was starting seeds earlier. I'm gonna scale back some of my plants. Like last year, I think I
I
probably
don't think
did.
you can do that.
Yeah.
Well, so I probably tried to grow like 50 tomato plants in my backyard last year. And
That sounds like
the
an
thing
Italian right there.
Well, the thing about tomatoes, man, is if you go neglecting them for too long, they start getting leggy. The suckers
Mm-hmm.
start taking over. And so I was thinking, I was like, let's just do 2 beds of tomatoes this year. Because this year I had 3 beds and like 25 pots with tomatoes. I think I'm going to do more peppers this year. Peppers are a lot less low maintenance than tomatoes, and
Yes.
I'll be able to overwinter a lot of those in my greenhouse as well. I've overwintered
Yeah.
tomatoes before, but it doesn't turn out as well. But peppers will get real woody and like almost like a tree trunk, and
Mm-hmm.
that you can overwinter them pretty well, like in
I'm
containers or
I'm
pots.
I'm doing that now. I dug them all up. I have
Yeah.
eight pepper plants overwintering in my garage. I pruned them down to like a main stem that's
Mhm.
getting woody, and then it's all gonna. And in theory, my goal is to have them by May again. And Zach, this might be a good question for you because peppers have gotten so expensive over the past few years that I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm dedicating a whole bed just to peppers, and I didn't have to buy peppers for 5 months straight. They were smaller, they weren't like as gorgeous, but they tasted just as good.
Yeah.
But I just had to like subsidize my pepper expenses using my garden bed, and it was worth it.
Yeah. That's the way to do it for sure. For sure. If you can, yeah. I mean, whatever you can do at home that you like and enjoy, shoot, do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we had talked. I think we had talked about in the podcast previously that like the Chinese pepper seed market is that what was the holdup
Oh
this
yeah.
past year? Is that a bunch of companies got pepper seeds and they weren't pepper seeds? That like people were getting packages of jalapenos and they weren't jalapeno seeds. They were something
Mm.
else. There was a lot of that going on. I think I had some. I'd actually bought some Bonnie pepper plants that were already starts, and they were supposed to be jalapenos, and they came out to be like these purple little ornamental peppers. And like we use them for like pepper jelly and pepper powder and stuff like that. So I didn't really mind, but like imagine doing like a whole row with those
Yeah.
seeds, expecting to get serrano or jalapeno, and then
Oh,
it
I'd be
being some
livid.
stupid ornamental.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, do y'all do a lot of peppers over there in Bakersfield? Do y'all do peppers specifically?
Yep. Yeah. There's quite a bit of sweet bell peppers and hot peppers as well.
Okay.
That's in this area.
Is the Wonder Bell, is that famous like from being from y'all's area, the California Wonder Bell?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
actually.
I have
Yeah,
a packet
I've
of
seen.
that, the Cali Wonder Pepper or whatever.
Yeah, it's
What's
like
it called?
it's like
Okay. Yeah.
it's like the Cali Wonder Bell. It's done pretty well. And feel like you were saying, cutting them back to their main stem.
Yep.
How many did you do?
I did 10.
So
And
expect about a 50% success rate. That's
okay.
about what I had of overwintering.
Mhm.
And they came back early. They came back super early. Like
Yeah, 2 of them have already shot out leaves, and I'm like, oh crap. So
if you're in the greenhouse, you should be okay though. You should be all right. And
all right, cool.
Mhm.
So that's my game plan. Dude, Zach, I had a question for you because you keep examining all this lettuce and you talk about like how you want even the inside of the lettuce to look. And I was like, I have never, no offense to me, I wouldn't think to look in there, but like, wow, there's a method to the madness of like trying to find the right head of lettuce. And I was curious of like what you look for.
Yeah, and I think like there's so many different, as you guys know, I mean, there's so many different varieties, right? Hundreds and hundreds of different varieties, and they all kind of have their different uses. So for like what I do, you know, on that Seedway, I'm working with large scale farms, and so depending on if what those guys are needing it for, if they want a big processing head, if they want something smaller for a fresh head, I mean, those are all things that for big seed companies they're breeding and selecting to try to fit those categories, you know. So some of it you just want a really big head that's, you know, has good weight and quality may not be good, or you want something that's a really nice head that's really good for fresh. I mean, so there's all these different things that we look for that, you know, just try to fit whatever that farmer wants or that he needs. Yeah.
Holy
but
cow.
There's all these small details that people don't really think of, right? I mean, like you said, you just think it's a lettuce head there sitting in the grocery store or something. But I mean, you know, that's my big part of my job is to find those small details and identify those and make sure, you know, we are aware of what's going on and what those are doing.
Question, are those details for like just the general if you're breeding for a vendor, or is it for like even like high-end restaurants like French Laundry in Sonoma or something?
Yeah, definitely. So like there's definitely other types of lettuces that are, you know, maybe more specialty types, like little romaine gems or something that have a really good look to them and a really high crunch and sweetness. And like, so that would be that seed is something's probably very expensive. So for a commercial large scale grower, you wouldn't want that because it just doesn't make sense to do that. But for somebody that's a smaller restaurant type, I mean, there's all these different types of specialties that people want for sure.
Got it.
Can we just agree that arugula is stupid? I mean,
I got some in my fridge right now.
Rockets?
Rocket, as the Brits call it, the rocket. Yeah, I bought a package of rocket once, like a package of seeds, and I was like, "What is this?" And I got home and went to go play, and I was like, "Oh, it's just stupid arugula," you know. And like, it's actually, it's not bad. It's got that like a little bit of spicy, like a radish.
Yeah.
And it's a really good thing for like people here, like in Texas, where it's like super hot. You can't really Texas growing like greens, like lettuce and cabbage. Like it's pretty much a winter time like crop. Like if you can plant it like early spring, but like come May and June, it's already in the triple digits, and that stuff is going straight to seed. But arugula is a really good one to do for like getting those baby greens, like that, and spinach and stuff like that. Getting those baby greens, and it's really good. That I actually enjoy. But it's not my favorite.
Plant them in those rows, like those straight line rows, and you just grab them as you need them, right?
Well, have you seen those little harvesters? My buddy Froberg showed me. It attaches like to a drill, and it's got like these mop heads, and it's got it's got like a pair of like it's got a pair of like oscillating scissors. You turn the drill, you press the drill on, and it oscillates the scissors back and forth, and then these brushes like a mop handle spin around, and it catches it like in a mower, you know, where you're
it's got like a little basket, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can find. I think I've got a YouTube like video where he's harvesting with it. And it's pretty cool. But yeah, that's a neat little way. How many times have you cut your hand chopping on those veggies, dude? Whenever I see you out in the field with that knife and you're just hacking on stuff, I'm like, dude, how many times has he cut himself?
Definitely a few times for sure. But I've done it for many, many years. I try to, but I sharpen those things, you know, all the time because you want them really sharp when you're out there cutting broccoli heads or cabbage or whatever, because it can be hard. So you want those knives super sharp. But
is it a specific knife?
There's definitely some accidents.
is it a specific knife or is it just like a kitchen knife? What
They
is
have,
it?
yeah, I mean, they make different knives out here. So they make, you know, a celery knife or a leek knife, a lettuce knife, broccoli knife. Um,
What?
you know, they make specific knives to cut broccoli if you're just cutting the head or cutting the floret leaves, you know, if you're just doing
Yeah.
big florets. So it kind of scoops right around those little branches. So yeah, I mean, I'll have to send a picture to you one time next time I'm at the supply
Yeah.
store. I mean, it's just a whole display, you know, glass display. It has all different knives lined up.
Oh, that's nice. You can make that a work expense too. I could get one of
Yeah.
those.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, Zach, do you have any New Year's resolutions or some stuff? But, you know, besides getting a bunch of free stuff, I every time I see you on Instagram, man, you got some new clothes, and I was like, if I was just a little bit more handsome, I could get some more free clothes.
I know,
but-
right? My wife's like, we don't need to buy you any more clothes, right? You're getting everything free right here.
Dude, it comes in waves, dude. It comes
Yeah.
in waves. Like 2 years ago, I had 3 different boot companies send me work boots within a 2-month like time span.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got work boots for like 3 years now. I was like,
Yeah, you're
you
set.
know, but shout out to
No,
Rock Rooster is
it's
the most comfortable.
It's definitely cool. I mean, to get some good stuff, but there's some stuff out there that's not, it's not comfortable or it doesn't look good. And you're like, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't fit me or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you know, I guess this next year, for work wise, like, you know, our company's growing. I just hired a new guy that's down in the desert. He'll be in Imperial Valley. And so kind of expand our reach into some other areas that we're not currently getting to. And so I'll spend some more time in other places in the Central Coast and Northern California. And so, yeah, I mean, we're expanding. We're in a growing phase and we're doing good. And sometimes, you know, I get like caught up like, oh, I'm afraid to call this big farmer or grower. He doesn't probably want to talk to me or doesn't have time or anything like that. But I guess like my big goal for this next year is I'm not worried about what they're going to say or, you know, worry about how they're going to feel. Like you know, as in sales, you got to just get after it and you got to go and call and not worry about being, you know, hear no or get off my farm or whatever. But like, you know, just bring something. I guess I'm trying to bring value in what I do, right, to everybody that I get in contact with or touch, whether that's the experience I have in the field or the varieties or the seeds or plants or writing planting schedules or harvest schedules. Like, you know, that's my main goal is try to bring extra value in this crazy world that we're in where everything's going up. You know, how can I set my part? You know, how can I be different than the other guy that's selling seeds? So
Has anyone recognized you like from social media, like the farmers? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think some guys think it's cool and some guys, you know, probably think it's dumb, but
the old timers hate it. The old timers hate it, dude.
But like I've gotten a lot of good business from it, you know, and the people in other states because they see it and they reach out. And so, yeah, man, it's definitely a reach that I don't currently have or you wouldn't have just be doing your normal job. So it allows me to have some fun at work while I'm doing it. Educate people. That's my biggest thing, right? On where our food comes from and reach beyond what I'm currently doing. So,
yeah, that's awesome, dude. No, that's awesome.
It leads to you guys. I would have never met you guys.
Oh, no,
right?
I know, dude.
Like,
yeah, it's so it's so bizarre, dude. It's so bizarre the people you meet on social media. Like, I've got some friends like in real life. Well, I mean, y'all are my friends in real life, but like, you know, we never met in real life. You know, so I definitely got. I think I have more friends that I've made through like Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and everything now than I do like that I've previously, you know, because it's so weird how the internet can bring like-minded people together. You know, back in the day, you know, if you were the weird Dungeons and Dragon kid and you're in your town, you're just that one nerd, you know. And now with like the age of the internet, you can like connect with a whole network of people, and that's what we've done. And that's what we've done with like the social media network we built on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Which Phil, you gotta get on TikTok, dude. I don't care if you're worried about China stealing your data, but you gotta get on top, dude. You gotta do it.
All right, I'll jump on TikTok.
I just posted one of those lettuce videos like a week ago on TikTok, and I got like 1.6 million views. And I'm like,
shut up!
How did just rant? You know, you never know like when stuff's gonna go crazy like that, but.
Is that your first video? It's not your first video to hit 1 million, though, is it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, congratulations, dude! Congratulations,
Congrats,
dude.
man.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was probably, that sounds like the exact same number like my first like big one went to. Is like, it like stopped at like 1.6, and it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird because like a couple months later, something topical will happen and it'll hit again. Like it'll get like some more traction. It's always weird, man.
But it's crazy because I posted the same one on Instagram, you know, about the same day, and on Instagram I got like within the first week it was maybe 10,000 views or something like that, and then TikTok blew up, but now the Instagram one is going up. So like you never know what
You never know what's
video is
going
going
to
to
hit
do well.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just again, it's like we talk about the reach and we're all about sharing what we're doing, right? And so it's cool to see people connect with what we're sharing.
Yeah. No, the rising water. What is it? What is it? What is it? Something waters rise all ships. What? How does it go, Phil? I know you know how it goes.
From a geologist perspective, we could just say sea level rise, but
Yeah. Sea
no,
level
yeah, when the
rise.
water,
Yeah.
I don't know the saying though. Actually,
I forget
I
how it
probably
goes.
do.
I'm a
Basically,
little
you're
dumb.
saying like helping others, everybody benefits from that, and it like so
Right.
that's like the whole idea of education, and like that's my favorite piece of social media is like being able to touch others with some sort of educational piece that can help them garden better and have better understanding of food that we legit eat every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And it's definitely, I find myself finding less and less time to edit videos. I think right now it's just the end of the year and I'm tired. And so I've been trying this new thing that's kind of been working where I'm just posting all day long. Like instead of doing like a bunch of reels, I've been posting like static photos. I go back and I find some cool photos. I filter, I edit them, make them look nice. I do that. And then when I'm doing reels the last couple of days, I've just been doing it like full gonzo mode where I've just been out in the garden and just kind of vlog style what I'm doing and posting it as a reel, like just keeping that a minute and kind of just doing that thing. And it's, you know, it's a little more primitive, but it's definitely less time consuming and it allows me to take a little bit of a break because come January, man, it is go time, you know, starting, you know, y'all are starting. Y'all don't y'all don't stop starting seeds, Zach. But I mean, I started my peppers. I'm starting some tomatoes already, and it's gonna be balls to the wall again come January. You know, so
well, you brought up a good point. Like in my space, when I was talking about getting more efficient, like I literally scrapped. Like there's just piles of like pots that I don't use that I was maybe one day going to, or I had like trays of succulents that I was propagating that I'm like, it's time to get these out of the way. And I like literally set up like 10 or 15 trays just for figs. And it took me like an hour or so just like crushing tunes out there. I recorded a little bit of content for this week, but it's like prepping for go time takes time as well. And yeah, it's a time to slow down anyway. So I totally appreciate anyone who's taking a breather. You're privileged, Zach, with like perfect weather all the time, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. That's the problem though, that there's always something to do, or you know, you can always be doing something. So truly never ends, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you wear a lot of hats too. Where you were talking about like running all the operations and then hitting like the sales pipeline. Like, oh man, he's doing it all.
Yeah, exactly. I got sales and managing, and we have a big seed inventory that we manage too here local in Bakersfield that we pull from, and so we're always updating germs on that seed because it has to be current, you know, within 9 months of the year, and just trying to meet new customers and writing planting schedules for people. Right, like I said, right now we're working on bell peppers, so this is a big time to start seeding bell peppers in the greenhouses and watermelons. So like, you know, trying to chase down growers and, we're still working on our planting schedule or this and that. And, you know, again, it just,
I was like, dude, I need to start watermelon right now? Like,
I thought that, I was like, do I need to start watermelon? No, he's in California. It's different.
Dustin, no, we got to get our peppers. We got to get our watermelons.
Only in California should you be starting watermelons right now, or Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
I got April 1st was our last freeze here in North Carolina.
Okay.
So any North Carolinians
Okay.
and northern South Carolinians, we try to aim for like April 1st. The old guys talk about April 15th, but with climate change. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
it's changing.
I've tried to grow watermelons before, and I've either had no luck or it's just taken up so much space that I end up running
yes,
over with a lawnmower.
Yeah.
So it's just a very people that message me and ask me stuff about watermelons. I always tell them I was like, cordon off like a 20 by 20 space. If you can, put down weed fabric or
hmm
cardboard or whatever. I was like, because watermelons do have a mind of their own, man. It's not like growing
Yep.
squash. It is not like growing squash, man.
no,
Watermelon is nuts.
No,
you
Yeah.
got to
you got
watch out because
long
then you have
vines
this.
that'll just take off.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and that's just so much surface area for the vine borers to hit you too. The vine borers will destroy. People think that squash vine borers just go after squash. They go after all
Mm-mm.
the cucumbers. They go after the
Hmm.
cucumbers. They go after your zucchini. They go after the pumpkins. They go after the watermelons. They go for everything. I've even had them on figs before.
No way.
Yeah, I've had
Dang.
I had leaf-footed bugs on the figs this year. Those
What are
daggone
those?
leaf-footed bugs are. So leaf-footed bugs are like these. They look like stink bugs, but they're a little skinnier and narrower. And
Okay.
what they do is they typically go after your tomatoes, and they will suck like a whole cherry tomato dry, and it's just a little sack hanging afterwards. That is it. It's they're a nightmare, dude. And the only thing that can really get rid of them is like pyrethrin. Nothing else is really
Mm,
penetrating that They have that hard exoskeleton like squash bugs, and so
Mm.
it's tough getting rid of them, man. Um, so it's but I don't. It seems like every year I always tell people, be preventative with your pest control and stuff like that. Don't start spraying when you see a squash vine borer. Start spraying
yeah,
before
do it
you see
beforehand.
Too
them,
late.
because once you see them, it might be too late. And I don't know
Yeah.
what do y'all do out in the fields like for like watermelon, because it must just be you could get infestations of.
Yeah, for sure. Same general practice. You always want to be preventative for any of that because by the time you see them, you're too late and they're all over the place where you don't see them. So
Yeah, yeah. What do you do for like your pest control? Like, some gardening people don't like to discuss what they use in the garden, like what they use for pest. Like I got a buddy in particular, he will not say what he uses just because some people get upset. Like I haven't used Seven Dust in like 3 years, but if I've had a cucumber beetle infestation so bad that that's the only thing I can use to get rid of them. That's the only thing that works.
yeah,
And if you read the instructions properly, you're not going to hurt anybody. You're not going to damage anything. So I mean, I
yeah.
don't know. What do you primarily use in your garden, Phil? Like as like a preventative?
It's preventative. Oh, I'm dedicated to the team neem oil. I use that stuff. It's done well for me with any sort of mites that I've had, scale bug, um, which have been my two main culprits. And then the only other one that I really deal with here in the southeast is fire ants. But because they will make a nest right underneath a fig pot and they will crawl up and make the whole nest underneath, and you will not be paying attention. You're like, oh, I need to repot this, and you got ambushed pretty good. But and the
Jeez.
fire ants as a nursery, you're supposed to pyrethrin is what you're supposed to use for those nests and things, and getting rid of them. You're supposed to dip your pots in them.
Mm.
Um, but they actually hate water. So if I douse those fig trees with water, they will not go back. They'll evacuate the space. But I have to go back with the fire ant
Mm.
killer too. But neem oil has been my uh, choice to use. And the only other thing would be when I get the copper fungicide for my figs. Late season humidity can really do a damage with the fungus on the leaves. And so that's going to be a preemptive thing that I do this year that I didn't do last year.
Yeah, yeah. I would ask you, Zach, what y'all use, but it's probably industry secrets, stuff like that. I don't know if y'all can say what all kind of stuff y'all
Yeah,
use.
I mean,
It's probably a little more serious stuff.
yes, definitely. I mean, you got to be. I mean, there's especially in California. I mean, there's so many tight regulations now. I mean, when you're spraying stuff like that, you got to have gloves and a full suit, and it's just because some of those materials can be pretty bad. But for
Yeah,
organic stuff, I
absolutely.
mean, like I said, a lot of it's still done by hand. It's done, hand weeding and because that's the true only way that you can get in there and do that. So for people think organic is yeah, it just takes a lot of time and a lot of more, higher effort to get that stuff done. I mean, there's definitely still spraying, but those chemicals are not as harsh at all as compared to some of the conventional stuff that's being used.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, on the fire ants, Phil, I like to use a little bit of that orange oil. If you take like that orange oil, you mix it with some water and you spray it. And I did a video. I had him in my one of my pots, and I was bringing it out of the greenhouse. So every time I pull stuff out of the greenhouse for winter, the greenhouse is just a habitat for ants and lizards. Every single pot is infested with ants, and there's baby lizards everywhere. So the first thing I usually do is fill up my mixer with water, and I think it's like 2 ounces per gallon. And if you douse, you can either do a soil drench with the orange oil, or you can do a foliar spray. And the de-limonene in the orange oil actually like suffocates the ants. And so you'll spray them, and you'll literally watch them like falling on the ground. Like I do
Wow.
it for my ant piles. I don't even use I don't use regular ant poison anymore. I just take a bucket, like a gallon bucket, 2 ounces of orange oil, and dump it on top, and they're toast.
I'm gonna do that.
It's the best. Yeah, I
I mean,
highly
that's kind of
recommend
like
that
what
orange
neem
oil
oil
stuff.
is too. It's like a suffocating tool so that they can't when they get trapped underneath it, right?
Yeah, I'm not. So I use neem oil. I use Bonide Neem Max, which is a
That's what I
fungicide,
use.
pesticide. It's a fungicide, pesticide, miticide, and nematicide. It's a 4-in-1.
Everything.
I have to say that like that because I'm sponsored by them. So, but it works really well. It does. I don't know specifically how it works because I typically use it right before dark. People
Hmm.
always, when they come at you, if they find out even if you're using the organic means like neem oil, they'll come at you, dude. They will come at you. Oh, you're killing the bees. You're killing the butterflies. And the
Mm-hmm.
best way to avoid any of that stuff is to spray like late in the evening. So if the sun's going
Yep.
down at 7:30, I'm spraying at 7:20. Right as the
Yep.
sun, I'm out there spraying with a headlamp on, because typically that's how you're avoiding the pollinators. And I have not had one single problem with pollinators. I literally have a beehive
Woohoo!
right next to my house and inside my neighbor's wall, and I have not had any problems with bees, or butterflies
Oh,
or
good.
anything of that matter. So, but yeah, no, neem oil works really well. So, well, Zach, you told us about your professional goals for next year. What about your personal goals for your personal garden? What do you plan on doing next year?
Trying to, I don't know. I want to. It's hard. It's hard. I go back and forth, because like I'm out every single day walking these fields, doing this stuff, and then it's like then I get home and like, oh, well, now I got to weed and I got to feed my plants and stuff like that. So like, and I don't do a lot of stuff that I do. You know, I can get cauliflower and kale and broccoli and everything else. In my job. So like I tend to do a little bit more unique things like different peppers or different tomatoes or something like that I really don't have a lot of access to. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to make a little bit nicer garden this year. Like I did some cover crop stuff that I planted just to try to see if that makes any difference in my in ground stuff. And so we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder that with people who do ag for a living. They always say
Yeah.
like the shoe cobbler's kids go shoeless. Or that's another saying like that. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but like I figured like people who work in the ag industry, people who work in nurseries, people who
Yeah.
garden for a living.
Like you don't want to come home and then have to do it all. I'm outside walking fields pretty much all day. So it's like, then come home and I got to spend another hour or two outside. But my kids are getting older. I'm trying to get my son into it. I almost had to fire him a couple times last year, but.
How old are they?
7 and 4 and 2.
Oh, that's perfect age, man.
There you go.
That's perfect age.
Last year I added an automatic watering system.
There you go.
So like that was huge because before I'd come out and water, and now this it's all set up on the timer and super simple and easy. I got on Amazon, and I mean that was one less headache for sure. I didn't have to worry about.
I had a company send me a solar watering system this past year. And it's a little solar panel, and you can put it on whatever size tank you want. I just put it in a 5-gallon bucket. Try it out.
Okay.
But you could like you could put it on an IBC tote if you wanted to, and you can set it to go off like every 12 hours, every 24 hours for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it'll go until it has a low water sensor, and it starts beeping when it tells you to fill it up. And that thing works really nice. You can hook up. I had like 15 plants hooked up to it, and it worked really well.
Good to know.
Yeah, it was only like $40 on Amazon. It comes with the sprinklers and everything. It was a nice little setup.
That's nice, yeah.
You can see the video on my TikTok or my Instagram at Texas Garden Guy. Shameless plug.
Maybe that's my New Year's thing, is to get on TikTok. New Year's goal.
Well, I always figure, I'm probably the least active on TikTok. Although that's my biggest following. I've got 187,000 followers on TikTok. But when I post stuff, I don't see 187,000 people seeing it. That's the problem with TikTok. Because the algorithm is so seasonally. Tyler Froberg says, "Dang, we got a legit crew over here." Yeah, Froberg was too busy for us tonight. I was trying to get him to come on. He said we were pig farming today. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so TikTok seems to work more algorithmically with the seasons and stuff, and I feel like Instagram and Facebook actually gets reached out to more like people who follow me, rather than TikTok. And same thing with Facebook. Facebook has been huge. Like if y'all are not posting, like whenever I post something, it goes on everything. It goes on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
I need to keep doing that. Start doing that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely Instagram a good way to get it out there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of great benefits from Facebook. In fact, a lot of my customers have been starting to come through my Facebook channel. It's a good reminder to dedicate some time to it, because there's a lot of tools on Facebook that you can elaborate with that you wouldn't see necessarily on Instagram. So I'm excited to delve into that as well.
Well, and all three of the social media platforms are kind of directed towards a different generation. Like TikTok is the younger people, maybe to a fault. Instagram is probably like us in our 30s, like our age range. And then Facebook is like getting more into like your dad's got a Facebook, my dad's got a Facebook, my dad's got a Facebook, So like it reaches a way, it's a way to reach each generation. And sometimes you'll see, like Zach was saying, like this video hit on TikTok then, and then this one hit on Instagram later on. It's just like, it's weird, and it hits those generations different times too, like not everybody's seeing it through the same pair of eyes, so if you're not the only one I couldn't, after we talked to Marite, she was trying to get me on Pinterest, and I filled out I did a Pinterest account, man, and the Pinterest is not an easy platform to like navigate. It's just not. I don't know how they do that. She posts a bunch on there. She's huge.
I had the same issue happen. Like I went and set it up, and she's like, "All right, now do a post." Or like I'm like, "Okay." And I think I posted something, but my brain has not adapted to their navigation platform. But I'm getting there.
Yeah, Zach would do great on Pinterest.
Yeah, maybe I need to try it out.
He's a male model. I mean, he does very well.
There you go. I think.
Go ahead, Phil.
No, I think I think that would be in your favor. It would be a good gender sway in Pinterest because I know who crushes Pinterest.
Yeah, for sure. I always give Zach such a hard time. I was like, man, it's the best looking dude in agriculture over there.
I love it.
Yeah, the ag gear, man. Go ag gear. I love ag gear. Yeah, I think
That's right.
for 2024, I think I'm going to scale back a little bit on the gardening, and
How dare you?
y'all probably start to. Well, I'm scale back on the size. Like, instead of doing 50 tomato plants, I'll do 20. You know, and then my wife always gets on to me because instead of growing the same varieties every year, I see a new variety from like Baker Creek or like David's Garden Seeds. I'm like, ooh, I want to try that. And so I end up growing like 15 of this one, and then one of the one my wife actually likes, the person who eats the most tomatoes. And she's like, why didn't you grow more early girls? Why do you all these purple atomic ones? It's like, I don't know. Some seeds do better, now. So I definitely do the varieties that do the best, the ones that we'll actually eat. And that's one of my recommendations to people who are starting out gardening. Grow stuff you're gonna eat. Like, don't just grow it for decoration. I mean, unless you're just wanting to do that, but if you're not gonna eat it, don't grow it.
Yeah.
That's why it's like I recommended peppers because peppers you can kind of scrunch them into smaller spaces and grow a bunch of them, and it's a pepper. Like if you put peppers on it, just about every dish in your household. So
100%. Well, and speaking of Froberg commenting, he told me about something they do at his family. I think it's No Meat Monday, where like every Monday they do dinner, but they don't eat any meat. And I was like, that sounds like a really good idea. Like that, like I love, like I pretty much don't eat a meal unless it's got meat and cheese. So maybe like
meatless Mondays.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Like actually a good idea, to do something like that. Like just like do a salad, like Caesar salads on Monday night, something like that.
Yep.
So
there you go.
I'm quitting some things this year. So I don't know if y'all know this. So I was a recovering heroin addict. No, I'm kidding. No, I was a smoker for like 32 years.
Really?
I quit smoking at 32, but I picked up this stupid thing. This stupid little bastard right here. And so New Year's Eve at 11:59 will be my last puff of these guys. I'm going cold turkey on those. So I'll be nicotine free come January 1st.
Good for you, man.
If my videos are like me going like this, that's why. I'm like, tomatoes, and just that's why, So yeah, and I definitely have got to. I started noticing in some of my videos that my breathing I could hear me like breathing, and I was like, well, part of it's because I'm a little fat, and part of it is because I've got this nicotine stick. And I was like, I got to just cut it out. I got to be done with it. I hate it. So let's just be done with it. And so gonna try to eat more out. I'm gonna try to eat more out of the garden. I'm trying to eat more what I grow and keep away from that nicotine and stuff like that,
There you go.
I don't care what Tucker Carlson says. I don't need nicotine.
You could have something to like fill that void in your hand. So just like hold like a fig cutting and walk around the fig cutting that would just like mimic that habitual maneuver.
The last time I tried it was Twizzlers.
Oh.
Well, obviously the Twizzlers didn't work, so we're going to try something different. I vote for fig cuttings. Zach, also for your experimental space, maybe a fig tree because, they're kind of in California. What's that?
Did you get one yet,
dude? No.
Oh, you gotta get him a Godfather, dude.
Oh, dude, I just ran out of Godfather cuttings. Well, actually, I have one more if you want one.
I would love to put one in. Yeah.
Oh, man. The Don Corleone fig, man.
Hey, so that story was so good, dude, and I can't believe we left it to like the end of the pod. Zach, did you hear the story behind this fig tree?
No.
Tell him, Fig. Tell him.
Oh, it's a beautiful story. That is like, this shows like how great a fig tree can be with cuttings and propagating and lineage. But in the movie of The Godfather, when he's in the garden scene with his grandson and he passes away, there's two fig trees. From that set, when they shot it, after the movie was over, they gave it to this person on Long Island who passed it to their kids. So the actual fig trees from the movie. Well,
Okay.
people took care of it over the years and they started propagating from the tree. And the person accepted some of the cuttings and grew his own tree and started selling those cuttings. And so they are genetically identical to the parent tree that was on the movie set, The Godfather. And I have
Oh
one of the fig trees
wow.
in my backyard. And I have one. My
Nice.
dad, his head exploded when I brought him the fig tree about 7 years ago. They circulate the forums pretty well, but yeah, I have the Godfather fig tree in my backyard. As Italian American, it
That is
pumps me up.
awesome.
So if you need a
Yeah,
cutting,
Heck
I have
yeah.
like one more in my private stash that I can send out to you. But they got
I think he
gobbled up,
needs
let
it.
me tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
do you
bet.
think that video had anything to do with it? The clip?
Definitely
I
for
know
at
it.
least three of the sales.
I
After we
know
posted that, it was like bing, bing, bing.
Felicia for sure. I know she bought one. Felicia from the Vital Root. She goes.
Yeah, she's pumped.
I had to get one. But yeah, I didn't know if it was like a super rare thing. I did look it up, and so like there are quite a few people that have a tree, right? They have a Godfather. There's a couple people out there that
Yeah,
have
it's
a.
not super, super rare, but I mean, I don't know how rare to get because I go down such a deep rabbit hole in the fig world, the fig forums. But a lot of unique fig sellers will have the Godfather. So I ran out, but if you want to
Hmm.
check out figbid.com, Facebook, check it out because that's where you'll get all these cool, unique figs from all over the world as well that I don't carry.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Figbid.com is a
Hmm.
really cool website, and they don't just sell fig cuttings. They sell all kinds of cuttings.
Yep.
They sell supplies. They sell. I got my Figaholic hat from there. It's a trucker hat. It says Figaholic on. I got that from there. So they got all kinds of cool stuff, and people like Phil. They people that do figs and do fig cuttings take a really good pride in how they package their stuff because they want you to come back and buy more cuttings. And
Absolutely.
they typically give you like Phil, the cuttings you sent me were like, that's some big daddy cuttings, dude. Those are some big boys. And I was like, man, all right, I like this guy. I like
That'd
this
be,
like this
it
cutting.
ties back to that thing that we kind of brought up earlier. It's like I want everyone to like experience what I experienced on my first fresh fig and like growing it. And you're like, it's like in Castaway when he makes fire. He's like, I made fire. I was like, I have a grew a fig. It's amazing. Um, and so if I can hedge someone's goals to like get a good cutting and grow a nice fig tree, then I've done my part to help. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
no,
you
that's
like them.
awesome.
Well, and not to mention, most people they're like really into figs are kind of out there, and so like they're more concerned with wanting to spread the gospel of figs than they are like wanting to make money. Like, hey, buy this fig, I'll give you this fig cutting too. Like Fig Hunter is a prime example. Like
Oh
he's
yeah,
Johnny. He is the Johnny Appleseed of the fig world. Like that dude.
100%.
I think. I think. I think if you go to his website, fighunter.com, I think you can still get free cuttings. You just have to pay for the price of shipping
Hmm.
because they had this. I think it was a local barbecue place down the road from his house, and they had this. I mean, Zach could probably drive out of his house right now, drive 5 miles, and see 20 fig trees growing wild.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I guess it was a giant fig tree that fell over during a storm, and so they harvested like all these cuttings, and the fig hunter was like, "Ooh, I want to give away 1 million fig cuttings," and they had this campaign, and like they gave out a ton of fig cuttings. They said, "Hey, pay for shipping, and you can have this fig," and so that's awesome. I love that. I
That's
really do.
awesome, man. And every fig has a cool story to it. Like the provenance of figs is like the bigger backstory. At least where I grew up in the Northeast with a big Italian side, is that like all the families that came to America brought a fig branch with them, and they start and like
Mm.
from their little town, that was their favorite fig tree. and they all planted in their different yards, New York City or Boston or Philadelphia. And so it has like this like family pride of something that they brought over from the old country that meant a lot to them. And those things just get passed down. So I have great fig trees out here that are like Brooklyn Park JD. I don't know a lot about what that all means, except that I know that it
That's
was
so
very
cool.
personal to come from some small
Yeah.
town in, Campania, Italy.
That just further explains the fact that we need to go to California, Phil. We need to go sleep on Zach's floor at his house,
Come
and
on.
we'll go stay at the fig hunter compound, and camp out there. And we need to go fig hunting in the wild in
Dude,
California.
that's happening. We got the Fig Fest. We're hanging out with Zach. We're hanging out
Yeah.
with I think we have a few people on this list that's going to be a fun fig tour, if you will.
It's gonna have to be like a 4-day weekend in California, and
Yeah.
is traffic is bad, like getting up and down California. Like I know I think fig hunters in Sacramento, right?
He's up north, maybe 4 hours from me, which traffic's not too bad going that way. It's more going south, like through LA and stuff.
Okay, so we should be okay then. Yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely need to
Have you
make a
guys ever
trip.
been out to the World Ag Expo here? The big show
No.
that they have in February
No.
in Tulare? I'll send you the information on it. It's the World Ag Expo. It's huge. It's like a 3-day event. I mean, just tons of vendors, tons of just from farm equipment to you name it, vehicles, tractors, all different types of stuff to agriculture related. A lot of dairy stuff, a lot of tree stuff, grape stuff. I mean, any type of stuff is all at this event, but they do it every year. Awesome show. I'll
Is
send
it
you
in
guys the information.
Bakersfield?
Check it out. No, it's in Tulare, which is about an hour north of here.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, I would love to. It's hard the way they break things up, like with our I guess we call it genre. So like Zach, you're more like the agriculture genre, and me and Phil are more like the nursery genre and like the gardening genre. And so like there's gardening people that know me, but like when you go like to ag, like they know Farmer Froberg, they know Seed Farm Table.
Mm-hmm.
They might not necessarily know who I am. There's a lot of big like ag accounts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do get invites to go to a couple of conventions, but they're more of like landscaping. Like Texas, the big one is TNLA. It's in San Antonio, I think in August, I want to say, something like that. But we need to talk to the fig hunter and find out when he wants to do Fig Fest, and we need to schedule some trips and do this stuff because
make it happen.
We can make it worth our while, Fig, and schedule a bunch of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's so crazy because like this is already my events for 2024. This is just through April. This is through April 13th. And so like
it's already lining up.
I started booking. Yeah, what date is the Ag Expo?
I want to say it's like maybe second or third week in February.
That could work. Yeah, I'd love to go out to California and check it out. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Especially that part of California. I've only really spent time. Well, I've been to San Francisco, San Jose, Dublin, but I have no desire to go to LA whatsoever. I want to stay where people are normal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I will definitely send us some info on that.
I would love to see that. And the other thing too that I would love to see would be like, and this I guess was like up where Janie is, in the Sacramento area, I guess. But there's UC Davis has a repository because I think UC Davis has a big ag program associated with their school.
Yep.
But they have a huge fig specific repository that kind of led. There was a forum back in the day that was called Figs for Fun, but this guy in Kanto Farms, he acquired a lot of unique cuttings from this repository that I think we have to tour and show the world as well, because apparently it's massive.
Oh, for sure.
That's cool.
No, I would love to do something like that. No, I mean, if we could schedule a time to come over there and like just pack it, and then we could even do like if we spent one day at like the Ag Expo, we could also do like a meetup, like hey, this day we're all going to meet here at this nursery or something like that.
Yep.
And we'll walk around and just do a tour and meet up with some Cali people.
That'd be sick.
I've got people. I got people all over the place, man. I got people all over the place. You know, it's a good time for sure, dude. Now, 2024 is going to be huge. 2024 is going to be big, and just trying to find all the time to get it done. That's the problem usually.
Here's the tip. Ready? I was told.
I'm saying that, and y'all all have kids.
That's what I was told.
No kids.
If you try to find time, you'll never find it, but you got to make the time, and it helps you prioritize. So making time rather than finding it is the riddle.
I agree with that.
Put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt, Phil.
The big fig in the middle. Inside the fig, it'll just say that.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see the video I sent you last night?
Dude, unbelievable. I meant to respond. I apologize. But that tree and how they did the whole wasp, and they didn't explain the Kappa fig part. But
yeah, let me explain to Zach what I'm talking about. So I was, dude, for technology is listening to us. Technology is listening to us. They see what we like, and the algorithm shows us on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. I opened TikTok for like the first time in like 3 days. And what's the first thing I see? It's a fig in the wild, you know, which is probably not an edible fig for us. But it's showing like on the microscopic level, like the inside of the fig, how the female wasp gets inside. It showed the down under of the male, how it's like the thing is like 2 times the length of its body of the male, and he's like impregnating his sister to leave the fig, and then the males sacrifice themselves. Like it's like a microscopic view of like how
that's crazy.
How they pulled the footage off is unbelievable. Like on that minutia of the scale, and how they got it like live action. It makes the fig look really bizarre, but we don't have necessarily the same exact wasp, but it's very similar in California.
Right. Well, you know, each species of fig that has to be pollinated typically has its own species of wasp. You know, it's not typically the same fig wasp. You know, it's typically one wasp per fig. Like, but you know, there's figs all around the world, and I think like 90% of them are not edible for humans. I think most of them are eaten by like wildlife and stuff like that. Like I said, that book, my favorite book of all time that I recommend for everybody that I can't find right off the bat is God's Wasps and Figs. Is that what it's called? I sent you the link, Phil.
I think. Hold on.
Did you get it? I'm over here on my bookshelf of all the books I haven't read.
Listen, we just had Christmas. I got one of those chocolate oranges, and I'm eating it now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not an orange. It's definitely chocolate. But this one, boom.
Yes, that's the one. That's the
Merry
one.
Christmas to me.
Yeah. God's Wasps and Stranglers. Basically talks about you know, how figs are like a keystone species in most rainforests, most environments, that if like the wasp goes extinct, the fig goes extinct, and it can like take out a whole species of like those hornbill birds and like certain monkeys and all kinds of stuff. Like it's so wild to read.
You ready for the first recommendation here?
Yes.
Right? You said it. Figs are not only considered keystone species in forests, but are perhaps the world's most perfect tree. The tree in the Garden of Eden was very likely not an apple, but a fig. Fire it up now.
Yeah, that's crazy. And in my PowerPoint presentation that I do at some events, it's called Figs Can Save the World. And when you go back and look at like early drawings of like what the apple tree looked like in the Garden of Eden, it's fig leaves. It's not apple leaves. Like it's very distinctly fig leaves and not apple leaves. It's so.
I'm gonna
bizarre.
grab one of my favorite books.
Yes.
Let's see it.
If it's a vintage Playboy, I don't want to see it, dude.
How the puppy lost his way. No.
Are you writing
Too
books
many
now?
carrots.
Crocs.
Dude,
Those are some sick Crocs, dude.
let's see this thing.
Oh,
Did you
too
make a
many
book,
carrots,
dude?
man.
Is this your book?
Yeah, I got this. No, heck no, I wish.
Hey, we
Yeah,
have had
carrot Crocs,
authors
so my
on
head
this
exploded.
podcast. We have
Yeah.
had authors
Yeah.
on this podcast. That's why I'm asking.
No, maybe I'll do that in 2024 though.
You should, man. No, that's a good question to ask you before we close it out. That's always like I have never had any success growing carrots, like whatsoever, because typically the weeds around the seeds grow faster, and then like in big facility, I mean, big farms, they flame weed the weeds
Yep.
before the actual carrot seeds germinate. So if for
Yes.
anybody out there that wants to start growing carrot seeds, you got any tips for them?
Well, like I said, a lot of that stuff you got to flame it or hand weed it. You know what I mean? So that it can be labor intensive where you got to be out there.
Okay.
But a lot of people, a lot of people will get short little carrots, right? And the way what you want to do is you really want to stretch them out. That's by watering. So you want to change your watering strategy to really stretch those carrot roots out to try to reach that water.
So
That's how you get longer roots.
watering more often will create longer roots.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
So I guess like the best tip for like so someone wants to start carrots from seed is identifying the carrot stem from like the weed stem, which is it's pretty hard to miss. It's got like it's got like a little fennel color, like fennel shaped like leaves coming out. So it's just
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and they'll be, you can almost say, we call them like little bunny ears, where you have two different, you kind of have the leaves, the attachment that are kind of spread apart there. And that'll be what's poking out of the ground.
Is that what they call the colostium leaves? I know that's not the right term. Is that the right term for like? I know there's a term
I'm not sure.
There's a term for when the leaves, the first leaves on the seedling after it germinates. It's like
the ones that don't actually resemble the plant leaves themselves. Like if you looked at like in brassicas and stuff.
Right. Somebody explained it to me. It's like whenever think of like a baby cow being born, it comes out and the mom produces colostrum.
Colostrum.
Colostrum. My family grew up with cows and I can't even say it right.
No, because humans make it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when the baby is first born, it's kind of an amazing thing.
Is it? It's called colostrum. The same. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes out right with the babies. Yep.
Yeah. Well, someone had described to me that those first little seedling leaves from the germinate are like the colostrum. It's providing nutrients and then they start producing like their mature leaves. They're more mature leaves after that.
That makes sense. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I have to do some more research into that, but yeah.
No, but it could be. I wonder if that has to do with why sprouts are so nutritious for you. If you do like microgreens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have y'all heard of people doing that? Like they take. I know this is gonna sound stupid. I was watching some reality show and they took no, it wasn't the colostrum, but like it was like the placenta and they cut it and they put it in a shake and they drank it. Like they made it like in a shake and they drank that. Is that?
Okay. Yes, people do. I've heard all kinds of stuff. My personal experience is that no one in my family or household has consumed the placenta, but you can do a variety of things with it because it has like all kinds of nutrients and stem cells.
Nutritious, right?
But a lot of parents will dry. Okay.
Capsules and stuff.
Like the capsules.
Yes, that's what my wife did for our first baby. They made it into little capsules.
And they're super helpful for like postpartum nutrients and.
But the lady came to the hospital. The lady came to the hospital to pick it up and take it and then process it or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy experience.
Yeah, it's got to be a little strange,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always wondered, like I've never broken a bone. I've never had any major surgery whatsoever. But
Okay.
like when they take your like, say your appendix burst or whatever, or like your gallbladder, they have to remove it. Can you Can you keep it? Like, do they have to? Like, if you say like, hey, when they pull my gallbladder out, that's my gallbladder. I want it back. Like, do
I
you?
think you have to ask them beforehand because
is
I've had ACL surgery twice, thanks college sports, and also
what did you play in college?
lacrosse.
Oh shit!
It
Damn, damn.
was D3, but still
Nice.
competitive D3.
Didn't realize it was that much. Like, is it from contact? Like
Yeah,
your
I
ACL?
mean yeah. The turf monster got me, and then I did it skiing once too, and then I used to be really big into skiing too. I mean, I do all the things. I'm a big competitive surfer too, right? So, but college, I I had a few recurring knee injuries, and I think when it finally gave, it was just the ACL, and I pushed myself too hard. But there's a lot of injuries in lacrosse because it's kind of like hockey on grass, except you
Yeah.
have the stick in the pocket. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That sound dude, skiing. My wife wants to go skiing, and I told her I was like, no. I've always been, I've always been the guy that like. So when I was in the Air Force, I was in Anchorage, Alaska. That's where my base was. They had a free slope in the back of the base. You just go pay for the rental of the snowboard or the skis or whatever, and you get to ski for free all day long with the gondola or whatever. So it was my first week up there. I had never seen snow in my entire life till I got to Anchorage, Alaska, and it was like January. And so I went and rented a snowboard, went up the gondola, put on the snowboard, looked down, and it was just like that. And I was like, I saw how fast people were going down. And there's nothing to stop me. There's like nothing to stop me. Like, what am I doing? And so I took my snowboard off and I rode the gondola back down. I was like, there is, I have never been a risk taker. I've never been a person that like does like stuff that's sketchy. And I guess that's why I never broken a bone or anything like that. You know, I don't know. I don't know, man. Skiing sounds terrible. That
Zach, do you
sounds terrifying.
snowboard?
Yeah. Yep.
I was gonna ask how far are you from like Mammoth and stuff.
Yeah. So 4.5 hours from Mammoth.
Nice.
So not too bad.
Is that close to like, what is it, close to Oregon? Like going further north?
No, Mammoth is kind of, yeah, it's definitely south of Oregon, but it's like a little northeast from me here on the other side of the Sierras.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tahoe, which is Northern California, maybe you're thinking that's close to Oregon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was thinking next state up because I don't think of, you know, you're over there in Hollywood, so I don't always think of y'all having snow to
Yep.
snowboard and ski and stuff. So, well,
Yeah.
guys, we are past an hour, so I will go ahead and let y'all give your shout out, tell everybody where they can find you, and tell you what you got coming up. Mr. Zach, I'll let you start it off.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for checking us out today. Had a good time talking with you all. Yeah, check me out on Instagram, Seed Farm Table, or TikTok, Seed Farm Table, Facebook, Seed Farm Table. I'm all over the place showing you guys how our food gets from the fields to your table. So, yeah.
If y'all thought Farmer Froberg looks good in Wranglers, check out Seed Farm Table.
Dang.
What you got on that, Tyler?
When's the
What you got on
calendar
that,
coming out, man?
Dude, people have been trying to get me to do a calendar, and I'm not doing it. Oh my God.
I'm one of those people.
People would buy Zach's calendar. I don't know if they're buying mine. There's a certain demographic who's buying my calendar.
No, I think we should all make one with our group.
We should. We could definitely do that. We could definitely make that happen. We'll talk about that offline. Big Daddy Phil, go ahead and tell us.
Hey
tell
guys,
everybody where they can find
appreciate
you.
it. You can find me at philsfigs.com. All the social medias, it's Phil's Figs. But I am your fig daddy and fig specialist on all things figs.
I was not expecting you to say, "I am your dad."
I am the fig father.
I was not expecting like there was a little bit of Arnold in there. I am your daddy. What is he doing? All right, guys, and I'm Destin Noack, Texas Garden Guy. You can find me everywhere as Texas Garden Guy, and we will see y'all on another special. This is the last podcast of 2024 or 2023. This is the last podcast of the year, and I couldn't imagine doing it with two better dudes right here. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you, guys.
Follow Phil's Fig, follow Seed Farm Table, and we will see y'all in 2024.
Yeah.